Hey everyone, it's Jason. Today I'm going to do a video going over some of the Battle Systems tabletop terrain systems. So I got a couple different sets here. I've already built them all. I just want to show off what each one looks like. But before I even start showing off each individual set, I just wanted to show off, I have them all built, what they look like. These are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action adventure system game miniatures. So I just put them in some different locations. Just to kind of show like how they actually bring the world together. You have them standing on 3D objects, things to interact with and move around versus just having the normal, like where there's like a yellow line here. Sometimes you'll throw like just a blank tile down, or not a blank tile like a picture on it. Maybe something to represent, like lots of them have ones that represent container bins, or they might have something that represents like a barricade. Yeah, so that's just something like, and like here's like another example of something I did where like in the map they have like a body spot you can put. So like in this one I designed as like more of a laboratory versus like a medical thing. So I have like an object there that you have to walk around or you can't access. And then like I put some like computers and stuff on the outside. And like over here there's like a bridge underneath this one. So if I move one of these, there's actually a bridge on the map. I just put a bridge over it, so it kind of a little bit more aesthetic. And the same thing like the pool table here. The pool table listed underneath, so it just gives it that 3D effect. Same thing with the tables and chairs. Something for your characters to like stand on, interact with. Makes it a little bit more unique. So these are meant for more like fantasy miniature games and stuff like that. But I don't have any of them. I have the Ninja Turtles. And they work really. And I have other accessories too that we'll go over. I just want to give you an idea of what the. So these trees are the one example. These are from Crossmaster, which is another type of miniature game. I just don't have any other trees right now, but I thought they'd look neat being in there. A little 3D effect. They don't really fit the theming of them. But yeah, we'll take a look at each individual pack. I just want to show you they look like all set up because I'm not going to reset them up a second time. Alright, one moment. Alright, so another little bit more information about these. They come in three different genres. There is urban apocalypse, which is kind of like your gritty city environments. A lot of the stuff is like beaten down. Just kind of meant more for like your zombie type games, like zombie side. They have the sci-fi, which is all space and alien stuff. Futuristic type things too, so that's, you know, if you have more of a game based around that. I can't think of any off the top of my head to have that. I mean, I obviously have zombie side in space too. We have zombie side everything. Then the third one is fantasy, which is like the D&D, Lord of the Rings style worlds, like old cottages and like marketplaces and stuff like that. So you can kind of get something that works for everything. Now, like the game I showed off was Ninja Turtles, which is more of a modern setting. You can also use some of these with the Batman miniatures game, or other miniature games if you have them. But like, they don't really have anything that's currently like just modern stuff. So you might have to like, you know, stretch the limit on what some of it is, or why it's like there, why it's beaten up or whatever. Use other fighting and that breaks it up. But you know, just gotta use your imagination. Like in the laboratory, I had it's supposed to be a core reactor. There's like reactor stuff, which should be like in a space station or like in a big. I just made it into a lab. I'm like, oh, it's a cool looking thing. Who cares what it actually does? And not interacting with it. If you have questions on how to build these, their system is battlesystems.co.uk. That have nice tutorials that walk you through on how to build each thing. Sometimes you have to jump back and forth between videos because, like, if this is like this one, for example, and they built one of these, they're like, oh, we built this in a previous video, so you have to go back and watch it the first time they built it. They don't redo it in each video, which I don't know why. They don't take that long to do. But they're, for the most part, they just kind of slide together. There is some glue required for smaller parts, although with the exception of everything I did, there was only, I think, one thing I had to glue to make it work, and that was like the pool table. Everything else does just slide together. On the core reactor, there's one thing on there I didn't have to do it, but I did it. I guess you didn't have to, but like, yeah. So most of you don't have to, and if you want to use glue for some other parts, I'll show you where it makes sense. So what they come in are these little corrugated boards, and they just everything pops out. It lists right on there what each part is. So like, this is part of the billboard. This is part of the billboard. You know, like here's the other billboard part. So you can pop stuff out very easily, figuring out what goes to what. So it's not very hard. You're not sitting like popping all those pieces trying to figure out what went to what piece. But there are no actual instructions in the box. So if you pop these out and you're not sure, you'll have to go watch some tutorial videos you can't figure out. But like with anything like corrugated stuff and things that slide together, you have to watch little tabs and stuff to make sure things don't get broke off. So you can kind of see here a little bit got caught in there. Until it ripped off a little bit of the paper. It's still functional because it was just like the outside layer of the design. Didn't wreck the rest of the cardboard. But the same thing as sliding this stuff together. Some of the cardboard you have to be careful with. So the first set we were looking at was the shipping container set. It's going to have 10 pieces. And by pieces, it means physical pieces, not individual pieces get used to build. So we are going to get, I'm going to zoom in on these. Let's see if I can rotate my camera. We're going to get, the big thing is, of course, the shipping container. It's really easy to put together. So the top came off there, but yeah, so it has, the bottom fell out. It just has these slides. They slide together. This is how they're all built. But this is kind of neat because it's reversible. So you can have a blue one or you can have a tan one, depending on what color one you want. You can build it with the door being open. So the bottom here doesn't actually attach at all. It just kind of sits in there. So especially when you take off the outside. But ideally, you're going to probably be setting these down and then not moving them. And then if we put the lid back on, we could have an open container, which then you could, you know, have stick your crates in if you want. You could pop the lid off to look at them. It would be kind of nice if there was an extra piece to go in between there to hold that together if I did that. But that's, you know, a little bit nitpicking there. So we're going to swap that back together. Yeah, it just slides in just like that. That bottom just kind of sets in there. And then that, if you kind of pinch out, if you're looking inside, you can see there's a bottom if you have the top off. Now, one thing you can do to glue them is, this comes with these two extra little strips right here and here. So if you glue them on like I did, then when you put the lid on there, the lid won't slide right off. Otherwise, you're just setting the lid on there and hoping it doesn't slide off if you move it. Especially if you have to like hop a figure up on top. It's not going to just immediately slide off. You know, like I can move it around. I can pick it up, move it. It's not going to just fall off immediately. But then you can at least pull it off. So the only downside to doing this is if you glue these on, it's not as reversible anymore. I can still reverse it, but then my lid is just going to sit on there like this. And I have these weird funky pieces. So if you're going to glue these on, just keep that in mind. But yeah, so that's the shipping crate. Then we are going to get 3 different little gray containers. They kind of slide together the same way. Now, they could have made them so they're just square all the way around and they kind of link together. But then you have to glue them all. So these you don't have to glue together. But we're going to have the same idea. Unless I accidentally glued this in there. Alright, well I'm not going to force that. But all the 3 different crates, we have a white one and we have a blue one. But they have the same idea. They have a little spot you can glue on there. So the crate can be open. You can drop something in there. Or you can put the lid on there. So that lid doesn't fall off instantly. And then we have like a health crate. And that'd be the same idea. Has a little piece on there. So that's the only thing that glue is required. Is to get those pieces if you want those lids, you know, to be able to kind of snap in there. I just used some Gorilla Glue. Took a couple seconds. This one, I'm hoping like I didn't dry the glue wrong and it stuck to it, which might have happened. Or it might have just been in there tight. I'm not going to force it, though. Next thing we have is a dumpster. Now the dumpster here, you can see the sides are kind of popping off. So I can take the lid off. Maybe. Again, I hope I didn't glue that lid down by accident. Just kind of got stuck in there. Might have had a little residual glue on there. Yeah, so if you have the dumpster, it's open, you can dump something in there maybe. I don't know if you can fit a guy in there or not, maybe upside down. But yeah, the sides are kind of going to fall off. But again, the idea is, I think for the most part, you put these down and you don't move them. So I probably will just put some little glue around the edge, or the edges of this, just to make sure these aren't falling off if I decide to move them or when I put them away. Now, here's one thing you gotta watch for some of these, where these are one solid piece here. And then when you fold them, sometimes some edges become a little bit open, a little bit more than you'd like, or they peel off too quick, they don't fold it correctly. Just keep an eye on, just be careful when you're folding them corrugated things. This is also the idea of why some of these, you want to build them and have them where you can leave them and not be taking them back apart, especially the stuff that's foldable parts, because every time you refold that, it's going to weaken it. Then with the lid, which is also kind of neat, is you can kind of set it in there. Well, it's supposed to. It's supposed to like set in there so it looks like it's open. It looks like it's a little bit too narrow for that. But yeah, that's kind of fun. The last two things we have is you have a roof hatch. This is a regular tile. You flip it over, it shows the roof hatch is open. So this is so you could put it on like a building. Be like, oh, that's a hatch to the roof. And then when you open it, your guys know that it's open to go down into it. And then finally, we have some little mini pallets. Which is just one solid piece, a little square. But then you can opt to glue these extra little pieces on there to give it that kind of 3D effect. So that it sits up a little bit higher. And you can do a different pattern as well. I did this one as a cross instead. So I have one cross and I have that. But then now if you, rather than just having it be a little single piece, you can kind of stack them up on top of each other. Some little things to get that extra edge of 3D. Alright, so that was the first set. The other videos, or the other sets will go a little bit quicker because I don't need to re-explain all the different pieces. Alright, come on, sheet. Alright, so we're going to stick with the urban theme. We have Urban Street Accessories 2. This one has 16 different pieces. Just gives us some more outdoor stuff. Alright, so let's look at what we have here. So first of all, we have two walls. And these just slide with these little pillars here, and then they just stand there, and you can build a corner, you can have it gapped, you know, have a long one. However, whatever works for you. So you have some of those. We get a bunch of barricades. So we get one that's a raising bar. Now it doesn't actually raise, but it works as a nice long barricade. We're going to get a bunch of the little tiny corrugated, or not corrugated, the little bars. So now, their picture, they show them straight up. I have mine at an angle because anytime I've ever used a seahorse, not a seahorse, a horsey, horsa? Horsa, that's the word I'm looking for. They're always at least a slight angle for scalability reasons. So I kind of angled mine a little bit, but that's always a preference. So you're going to get 4 or 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 of them. So I only have one sitting here right now. There's a second one. And I got 2 more in my box. So you get 4 of those. So those are kind of fun. That way, it's extra little barricade you can move around, kind of like the walls and stuff. But you can put them however you want. You can adjust them like that, or you can like space them out to block off different areas. We are also going to get a bench, which is just, it slides together, and the bottom piece goes on there. It's not wide enough for a miniature to sit on necessarily, because their bases are too wide. But it adds that 3D feel to it. We're going to get 3 more pallets, which again you can build however you want. I built all of these just the 2 slots. But extra little decor like that. We're going to get a blue dumpster. Same as the red ones, just blue. Otherwise, I think the other... Yeah, there's a little... do not block dumpster on the back. So that's kind of fun. We're going to get a mailbox. This one you gotta be careful with because again it has this little folds, and if you don't fold them all very well, like doesn't look like I folded that one or that one enough, so it's kind of pulling on the other ones. But at this point I'm not going to take it apart and try and fix it. But yeah, we got a little mailbox. Kind of fun. A little aesthetic to have around your city. There is a billboard. I wish it was a reversible billboard myself, so you had 2 different pictures, but it's not. I might actually print off, like, if I'm using this by Ninja Turtles, I might print off, like, Channel 6 or something and put that on there. So it has these little barricades that go in the back to help hold it up. I put an extra little piece of wood on there. So a scrap piece, this, so just to help give it a little bit more stability. It'll stand fine without it. The little slot down there, I think there's no, connecting it to one of the actual play sets, like you put it on at the side of a building or something, it'll help hold it that way. The fridge, get a little refrigerator. So I like to draw 3D so that way you can knock it over and you can still see stuff on the back. You can tip it on its side, use it as a barricade. And then the last one we have is the 2 pieces of sheet metal. So now again, I just used a little piece of excess trim I had sitting here from in my pallets to hold these together. Now, if you buy one of the bigger play sets, they have like big city buildings and stuff and like multiple things. You have big giant sets. Or you can buy them separate. They come with little plastic pieces specifically meant for these corners, so that you can have it at a 45 degree or 90 degree angle, or connect it with other pieces. I unfortunately don't have any of them bigger sets, so I just use that for right now. But it works for what I need it to. Alright, so that was our Urban Accessories 2. So let's look at our next city one. We have the diner / casino. So it's going to give us a bunch of different stuff. Now, this one comes with 2 full sets of the cardboard. So all the rest of them so far have only come with 1 sheet of cardboard. This one will come with 2, and they're identical. So you get 2 of everything. So let's scooch all of this stuff over the way, and let's look at our diner casino. So, first up, we're going to have diner counters. So they're going to be the exact same direction, but that way you can have like a big giant long diner, or you could make a little square booth if you want to, be a small cafe, however you want to do it. I do wish they had a straight one. Yeah, I think it would look a little bit nicer as well. It's like a straight counter, but you do what you gotta do, right? And then here I have, attached on one of them, is I have like the bar tabs for like pouring alcohol. Now I didn't put it on the other one because I didn't think you needed one in a full long bar, but because they printed double sheets, you get both of them. So you're gonna get the bar counters. You are also going to get a pool table. So they're all beat up, but yeah, it's a neat little pool. This is another one where you're probably going to want to use glue. I had the glue right here to keep these together, and then I glued the tabletop to it, just so it's not sliding off. But now what you can also do with the second set is you can flip it over. So if you want to have 2 pool tables, you can, or you can have a blackjack table. So it's up to you on which one you want to have. You get both 2 sets in there, so you can have both like I did. Or you can make 2 pool tables if you don't want the gambling side. The only downside to the blackjack table is it's still going to have the pool table bottom. It's not reversible on the inside. So that's the only slight downside there. Up next, we're going to get a bunch of tables. So the tables will slide in with this menu sticking up, and then they'll have things on the bottom. So you're going to get 4 tables. So you can make 2 regular tables. And then you can make 4 tables if you want. Or if you want to do your casino half, we have the roulette wheel. Which, again, it's sort of weird because it has that menu in there, but that's just how they're designed. You kind of have to deal with it. Or you have the other half of the roulette table. So you can have these together with the blackjack table to make part of your casino. Or you could flip these over and you could have 4 tables, depending on how big of a restaurant you want. So again, that's kind of fun that you get both. We are also going to get a bunch of chairs. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chairs. The chairs are okay. These are the only things I really had issues with putting together. So it's little piece slides in there and these slide over, but sometimes, as you can see here, it was a little bit tight and it kind of got caught and it bent that a little bit. Or they don't want to sit 100% flat all the time. If I put them up there, they're a little angled. But they still work. I mean, like, yeah, they're not perfect. If you watch the tutorial videos and I'll play them, the person actually has a little knife with them, or cutter blade, and they cut some of these pieces up. Just so that way, like, if the holes are a little bit long, but I haven't made enough of these to know how much I should cut off, because they didn't really show that. They kind of just picked up the piece and they're like, oh yeah, that hole looks a little bit too much, and they didn't really pull up and show you it. So that's kind of the downside. So they didn't show you what they meant by it being small. They said, oh, I'm gonna cut this, and they didn't show how much they cut, like the before or after. So they don't really know. We do also have, I'm not gonna bring all of them out, but we have 4 diner benches, or booth seats, I guess they're called. So these are double-sided, so you can have someone sitting on either side. This is so you can set them up with your tables like this, or the other tables, which we'll show off in just a moment. These, I had a lot of issues with the folding parts. Like, this one doesn't look too bad on that side, but then some of them got really bad trying to fold that line. Other side, you can argue like, oh, there's just even more bow down. You just want to definitely be careful, and why you don't want to take these apart, because it'll probably wreck them all. So then the last thing we have is we're going to get 4 of these side table counters. So these can go in there. You can have a booth on there. You could have chairs on here. So there's like the chair. You make a little side counter booth if you don't want a full table. You get 4 of these. Now here's the one exception though. So how these are designed is like this, and this attaches onto a wall that you're playing, like in your overall game. If you buy one of the big city sets, you can attach a wall onto here. So without having them walls, there's nothing for this. It's not going to stand. So what I did is, instead of having 4 of these, I took the tabletop from one of the other ones, just slid it in there, and then now it'll stand by itself. But it also means I only get 2 of them, and it looks a little weird because my wall behind it has like food and a knife and stuff. But it was a workable solution, so at least I could use these without having to buy the full game set. Then the very last thing we're going to get is, they're called scatter components. And these are going to be little plates. So you get 10 different ones of these of various sizes, of the 2 different sizes. And that's so you can scatter some plates. You can add like a plate to that table, add a plate to this table. You can throw them on the floor. So like in the picture, they show them like there's some over there. One on the counter back there, over here. But yeah, this gives you plenty of different stuff to do with the casino and stuff. You can see how those are right next to the wall for that reason. Alright, so that is our diner casino. So that is the last I have of the urban setting. So now we're going to head to, we're going to look at the fantasy setting, or we'll look at the sci-fi setting, and then the fantasy setting. Alright, so for my sci-fi, I have the dimensional gate. I personally picked this one up because, like, although, like I said, I bought these to go with my Ninja Turtle game. Although lots of the stuff is, like, they're just in a city and all that. There's also, like, their tech laboratories, and, if you're from, like, Ninja Turtles, there's, like, the portal to Dimension X. So I thought that'd be kind of fun to have, like, a portal, have some, like, computer stuff. Now these are, like, sci-fi computers, not modern computers, but I think they still work for just having a 3D thing in the game to kind of represent. That should be the same idea of all that. So we're going to get a couple of different things here. Is we're going to get a ground conduit. It's like a big giant battery. Now this side has some like cords out the end, and so there's this side. You could flop these around to the other direction, and then it's just like a blank spot. If you wanted to, that is an option. But yeah, it's just a little fun terrain piece that can sit there. We got two computers, so these ones went together kind of odd. So you got this, but like, this piece doesn't always sit because they kind of bump into each other, so they don't sit 100% perfect. But you can mix and match the different monitors with the different tables, or the different consoles, depending on which console you want to have keep track of which thing, or which monitor. But it's also just being like they're 3D, they have like little circuits and stuff on the back and all that. So again, nice and they hold together once I have them. So it's not an issue there. Then we have the fusion reactor. This one you have to be very careful building, because the entire center has those one-time tabs. But while you're doing it, also make sure you don't do like I did, and I hit my wire here and I bent that a little bit. Plus, putting these into the reactor, then also trying to slide them into there while folding the reactor around all at the same time was a little tricky. But it came out nice in the end. And then there's going to be a gap in there. But then you can get this ring that you put on top, which pulls it all together. So the only part I did mention I glued together was I glued this piece on the top. I suppose you could leave it open so you could drop something in the reactor if you wanted to or whatever. But I just glued it on there because I'm like, that's going to be a solid piece. I don't have to worry about that, losing that silver. That didn't come with like the dumpsters and the container tops. It doesn't come with an insert piece to go underneath it, so it's removable. So that's why I just glued it down. And then the last thing we have is the dimensional gate itself. Actually, it's not the last one. We have one more thing after this. Yeah, so this is kind of neat. So it has like the gate all the way around, the double-sided steps, so you can have it either direction. And then it has an easy-to-remove portal, so you can be like, the portal is now active, or nope, the portal is empty and someone can jump through it. So that's really fun. You get two different options. The last thing we had were more scatter components, as they call them. They're little valves. Just things you can place on the ground to like add a little bit more aesthetic. So they have a couple like right there. But yeah, you don't necessarily have to have them anywhere. But yeah, that's the dimensional gate. So then we're looking at one gate. Let's jump to fantasy, and we're gonna look at the ancient portal. So this actually has some extra really cool stuff with it as well. It's kind of, you know, so I thought, my thought, if you looked at my initial video, so I had like in the modern time Shredder and was opening up a portal to the Dimension X to get Crane, and he had like this, he had the sci-fi one, which is a little tiny small one, and then in like this grassy area, which I actually think I still have set up there, I have like the grassy plain, which is like ancient past, you know, feudal Japan, and I have like, oh, they have a an ancient portal setup, but it's twice as big. So let's look at that right away. So this actually has some different stuff to it. So it has a set of wooden stairs instead of metal stairs. It has this extra inner coil, which is kind of neat. It is also one-sided. Lights on the back side, so this bridge is breaking off. It's kind of neat. And then the portal itself, rather than being like a separate piece that slides in and out, so you could slide this piece in and out if you want, or you could just pop this off. But be very careful, because I bent mine here, which is part of the reason why I'm leaving it on there. Oh, and I'm pushing my, so yeah, I bent it, so it's having trouble kind of like holding its integrity a little bit. So that's why I'm probably just going to leave it alone. But yeah, this is all cardboard, so just remember, you gotta be careful with this. Stuff's going to take a little while to make. So like, there's our size comparison, is that this portal can basically fit inside the original portal, the SciFi one. But yeah, it gives you a different option. We are also going to get this little console here. Just kind of a neat little, just like ancient moss-covered computer. What's also neat is I can dump out all these little like trinkets. So you have 4 different rune stones and like a power thing. So you can have your characters run around and collect these runes that match the symbols in there. And I love that it's open enough that you can drop all them in there. But they're not like a tight squeeze, because it's not meant to like, not meant to put them in there and like carry this around. And then you get a little energy switch you can put in there to show that now the portal is active. So it kind of adds a little fun element. I also have a little extra vine that I attached to it. So you don't have to, you can attach this vine to anything else. Just kind of snaps onto a thing. Like I could easily, oh, maybe not as much. You could kind of hang it off something else if you wanted to. Might not work as well because this also has a notch for it. But yeah, again, it just kind of adds an actual 3D element. So then the last thing you get in this portal is you get some vine terrain. So you get these 4 pieces of vine terrain. And that's just to kind of lay in the ground underneath your portal and stuff, or next to it, just to make it look extra mossy and growing over and ancient. Alright. And then the last thing we have in this video, and if I buy more of these, I'll definitely do more videos if people like them, if I buy some of the bigger sets, is you have the raised walkways. So this is the little bridge that I had. But you can see like the village in the back that you can buy. You can buy like these ponds and stuff, like the lakes and that. And then they added some other 3D terrains. It's really cool, the stuff you can get. But these houses are actually ones you can buy for the fantasy village. I just bought the bridge. So we're going to take a look at that. So the bridge comes in 3 different parts. So 2 of the bridges are basically built identical. You have a big solid piece here that kind of helps hold it up. Plus, depending on which side you can have the front so nothing can go under it. Or you could have it this direction so something could slide under the bridge. But it has 2 of them that are connected to that. And then 1 freestanding piece. But each bridge itself is a little bit different. It has different cuts and jags on it. The second one's going to be the same idea. You have those in the same spot. It's just the difference is it has notches over here for connecting the stuff are on opposite sides. And then the third one will be the same idea. You'll have 2 there. And then these go the other direction. And then you can attach some wooden stairs. Now, you could attach the stairs to any one of these. So that's just actually kind of neat. So you can have it on whatever direction side you want. Because it just slides into these extra notches. But yeah, so you can have your bridge, however you want to have your bridge set up. You could have that and have an extra long bridge, or it can meet at the corners here. You know, maybe go like that, have like a boat that could slide in there. Yeah, just a fun little different ways you can play them. Then it does come with 2 extra tiny pieces of just staggered wood that you can, you know, lean in there or notch like that in various different areas. Like, just to show things are falling off. So that's a fun extra little thing. Alright, so that's all I have for this. That is the Battle Systems Tabletop Games and Terrain. So a couple of the small sets. Each of these sets is about, I think, somewhere between $7 to $10. And they do go up in price. You can get like some of the smaller houses or buildings that are like up to $15, $20. All the way up to like full-on cities with like 5-6 buildings, or like 10 different rooms if it's like this SciFi has like terrain rooms, or like rooms you can walk, like corridors and stuff, versus like the city and the fantasy have like buildings and castles, and they can get up to like $100+. But you're getting like full, probably like almost table-sized buildings then. But yeah, it's a really fun system, fairly cheap if you're looking for just adding some extra details, as long as you're not worried about it being 100% accurate. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.